Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jordan Hall. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm personally doing okay this morning. Right now, I'm having sparkly seltzer, which is a really healthy benefit. As long as you don't have soda, it's fine. Like, this is a healthier version of Coca-Cola. I like to have it in place of unhealthy things like that. It's really good and it's addicting for some reason. Like, I can't stop having it. Like, I can't wake up and not have seltzer in the morning or in the afternoon or any time of day, and it's addicting. You should try it. It's mandarin orange flavor, and it's from this store called Lidl, and it's like near my hometown. And it's probably the best place to get food, this store called Lidl. So anyway, there's a fun fact for you. So today in this podcast, I will be talking about self-discipline benefits and how it's important to your life, how to improve your family conflicts, why opposite best friends attract, and if you stick around until the end of the show, I will give you my own personal reasons why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore and how that impacts my mental health. And I'll also give you some video games that I do play now that aren't multiplayer and how that affects my outlook on life, / my self-confidence / everything. So let's move on to segment 1 first of all. And segment 1 is self-discipline benefits and how it's important to your life. Treating yourself is always nice and everything, but you need to focus on yourself more instead of focusing on others. Some people like to give presents to others, give their energy to others, but sometimes it's best to treat yourself as well and take care of your inner bodily functions and whatever. Don't just focus on other people. You got to focus on yourself. I say that a lot. Self-discipline is one of the most important and useful skills everyone should possess. You shouldn't be too selfless, but you also shouldn't be too selfish either. But self-discipline is different than selfishness. If you're selfish, you don't even listen to people at all, and you don't listen to other people's side of the story, and you just don't care about other people. But you gotta have self-discipline, which is different. So let's keep reading. Contrary to common belief, building self-discipline does not mean being harsh with yourself or living a limited, restrictive lifestyle, because you do need a balance of being safe but also having fun. You can't take too many risks where you're hurting yourself. You got to have a balance between having fun but also staying safe. Building this skill means using common sense, making priorities and thinking before acting, because you can take risks, but it depends on what risk you are taking. If it hurts your mental health or your physical health, don't do it. Self-discipline means self-control, which is a sign of inner strength, and control yourself and control of yourself and your actions and reactions. Yeah, that's very true. This skill gives you the power to stick to your decisions and follow them through without changing your mind and having second thoughts. Sometimes you could do something and have second thoughts, but you should do things that you're certain of that will help benefit you. It is one of the most important requirements for achieving your goals and carrying out tasks. Wow, I can't talk today. I apologize. I just keep stumbling over my words. It is very early in the morning right now. Well, not really. It's like 1 p.m. So anyway, I'm going to keep reading. Studies show that students with a high degree of this skill retain more knowledge than those without it. I mean, yeah, you got to learn from your mistakes. The more mistakes or the more risks you take, the more you learn. This is because they are more preserving and possess the inner strength to focus on their studies. Yeah. Otherwise, you don't learn without taking risks. Did you know that this skill can enable you to persevere with your decisions and plan until you accomplish them? Otherwise, you don't feel motivated to do anything at all, and you're just stuck in this limbo of, what do I want to do? What am I going to accomplish? Did you know that to reach your goals, a good measure of discipline is most helpful? Yep. You can't achieve anything until you take care of yourself. It's an essential skill for successful people. Yep. You can't be successful unless you learn to treat yourself and then try working on what you want to achieve. It's a power that can help you stay motivated. That too. And without motivation, there's no success. After improving this skill, it would become easier to develop good habits and get rid of bad habits. Bad habits slow you down, and it is counterproductive to actually succeeding. Because, yeah, there's going to be obstacles, but you can't cause those obstacles. You got to overcome them. It would also become easier to overcome addictions, overeating, procrastination, and laziness. Yes. Because those are bad habits all in itself. Those are obstacles all in itself. Don't feel bad if you lack this ability now. It's a skill you can improve. And effort is what counts. If you lack that skill, but you're at least trying, that shows that you want to improve. And you will if you keep trying. If you wish to possess more inner strength and stronger willpower, you need to start working on developing your discipline. Step by step. It's a step-by-step process. And I think it's starting to list those steps right now. There's like a bulleted list here. So what's the definition of self-discipline? I think it might help to learn what it is, like to learn the definition. To better understand self-discipline, here are some definitions. Self-discipline means self-control, the ability to avoid unhealthy access of anything that could lead to negative consequences. Yes, I mean, sometimes you'll end up in a negative consequence, but you can get out of that. It is the ability to forego instant gratification in favor of some greater gain. That means you have to be grateful. I don't know, something like being grateful for something. It means perseverance and not giving up. Yeah, that too. You got to push through your obstacles. The strength not to give in to negative feelings. I mean, that's hard all in itself, but at least if you're trying, it shows that you're wanting to change. It means overcoming one's weaknesses. Yep. I mean, that all ties into negative feelings. If you have positive feelings, that means you're overcoming your weaknesses. It is the ability to pursue one's plans despite temptations to abandon them. Yes. Some of us are cowards sometimes, and we like to go back to procrastinating or back to, our old ways, but we can't do that. Delayed gratification in favor of accomplishing long-term goals. Yes. You're allowed to reward yourself after a long time of being at school or a long time of learning something. It's allowed. A self-disciplined person is more punctual than other people. Yes, also attendance, for your classes. You're not going to learn unless you get to your classes on time. Such a person is more likely to take control and responsibility for his or her life. He or she can set goals and take concrete steps to achieve them. Yes, attendance is key too. Discipline is one of the most important ingredients of success. It expresses itself in a variety of ways. It manifests as the ability to persevere. It is the ability not to give up despite failure and setbacks. This is all repeating itself now, but I guess it's trying to put emphasis on this. It's the ability to resist distractions and temptations. I mean, but still, sometimes you need a little distraction if you're overworking yourself, but don't distract yourself all the time because then you're never going to get your work done. It expresses itself as the ability to try over and over again until you accomplish what you set out to do. Breaks are okay, but not too many breaks. Because knowing me, I do take a lot of breaks, but I still get my work done. Sure, I like to procrastinate sometimes, but I do end up getting my work done. So don't just procrastinate all day. I don't procrastinate all day. I procrastinate for like maybe an hour, and then I do my work. So as long as you balance procrastination and work, you can get your work done. I read that already. Life puts challenges and problems on the path to success and achievement. That's all good. In order to rise above them, you have to act with perseverance and persistence. The 2 P's and the 1 D, which is, of course, requires discipline. Oh, and then here we're going to the negative side. The possession, but here we go. I'm going to read this part. The possession of this skill leads to self-esteem and confidence and self-actualization too, and consequently to happiness and satisfaction. You'll be happy with yourself that you're achieving and not giving up on small things. Like, oh, like what if I don't get this assignment in on time? Oh, what if it's not perfect? Who cares if it's not perfect? The effort is what counts. But here's what lack of self-discipline can lead to. If you don't try to improve yourself, lack of self-discipline can lead to failure, loss, spoiling of relationships, because people are believing in you and you're just not taking advice. If your parents are giving you advice and you're just ignoring it, you're never going to achieve anything. It's going to cause health problems, specifically definitely mental problems. I mean, physical problems, yeah, because you're probably sitting around lounging all day and not doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, that too. Obesity and unhappiness, because you'll be unhappy with yourself, and have bad mental problems because you'll be like, why am I not succeeding, you know? And here are a few examples. You might not be able to resist eating a cone of ice cream when you're trying to lose weight. That too. Yeah, that too. Like ignoring the urges of food, or, oh my God. There's some really relatable ones down there. Some might react in anger or act impulsively and therefore hurt the people you love. Yeah, if you're closed-minded and you don't like to share anything with people, how are you improving yourself? There's some people that put up walls and they're like, no, I'm fine. I'm feeling fine. Well, you're just lying to yourself and to other people, which actually spoils relationships too. So, are you addicted to social media and cannot put your smartphone away for a little while? I'm not even going to entertain that one because I'm pretty sure I've already talked about my social media addiction. So I'm just going to politely skip over that one because I already stressed that enough about that. So if you lack this skill of this self-discipline, you will not be able to persevere with your plans or carry out your decisions. Yes, because without self-discipline, you can't make decisions for yourself. Therefore, you don't know what you want, therefore leading to confidence problems. You won't be able to curb your anger. Again, you might lash out at someone and unintentionally hurt someone. You might hurt your health if you lack the inner strength to exercise your body and cannot stop overeating. That was me when I was younger. Never really believed in myself. Didn't think working out was a priority. Just thought that eating and existing on earth was a good way to boost self-confidence. It's not. Working out is good. Lack of self-discipline is one of the other main reasons for the failure of losing weight. Yep. I've had that problem too. Yeah, this is a big problem. I believe that you realize now how important this skill is for overcoming eating disorders. Yep. Because again, you don't believe in yourself, which means you're just not eating. And addiction, smoking, drinking, and negative habits. Yep. It's hard to break out of those things if you don't believe in yourself because you think that the thing that you're doing will help yourself when it's really not going to help you. The ability to have self-discipline enables you to sit down and study, exercise, develop new ways to improve yourself, and definitely help with self-improvement, spiritual growth, and meditation. You'll be much calmer. You won't lash out at people. You'll start trusting the people you love more and realize that the people you love are here to help you and realize your true potential. So I'll read one more. I'll read some benefits in a minute. As already said, most people are aware of the importance of self-discipline, but few actually take steps to strengthen it. And you can strengthen it, that ability, like any other skill. It's done through training and exercises. Here are some benefits of being self-disciplined. This person who wrote the article is going to repeat what they said earlier and mention a few more benefits of being disciplined. Let's go over that right before the segment ends because I cannot stress this enough that these are the things that will happen if you discipline yourself. Being disciplined will help you to avoid acting rashly and on impulse and not hurting the people you love, carry out the promises and decisions that you promised other people and yourself to make, and you won't back out of that promise. Because once you make a promise, you got to fulfill it. Otherwise, trust issues are formed. Overcoming the tendency to laziness and procrastination. Yep, I'm guilty of that, but I'm overcoming it because I'm learning and I'm actually putting in the effort to learn from my mistakes. I skipped one, apparently. It says make wise and healthy choices. I mean, that's a given. Continue working on a project even after the initial rush of enthusiasm has faded away. That one I struggle with, because once I'm not interested in a project anymore, I just trash it. I'm just like, nope, this idea is not going to work because I'm not interested in it anymore, and I'm just bored, and I'm not going to come up with anything more creative, so I'm just going to throw it out. No, don't throw out your ideas, because maybe you'll come up with something new later, and then, you can add on to your original idea, which is actually what I'm doing with this new book I'm writing. I wrote it like 4 years ago. I thought that I would have no ideas, and then I completely came up with this new idea and kind of used the old ideas and mixed it together, kind of like a hodgepodge, You never know. So that's the end of segment 1. For the next segment, I'm going to talk about how to improve your family conflicts. We will be back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hello, and we're back with segment 2. Last segment, we literally just talked about self-discipline benefits and how it's important to your life, and now we're going to talk about how to improve your family conflicts. Wow, so there's a giant story here that explains somebody getting through all these problems. So I'm going to read this and try not to get emotional and try not to cry. So let's go. Family conflict is normal. It's the repair that matters. It's the way you handle it that matters. And here's how to navigate that tension and disconnection in family relationships, especially during the pandemic. This is probably a needed story that we need to hear. Sure, the pandemic is almost over, but if you're having family problems right now because of that, fix them right now, because your family won't be around for long and the pandemic's almost over. So you can now do the things you want to do with your family. Life is short, okay? If you're young, you got to do it. So let's listen to this story by Diana DeVecchia, and it's on this website called greatergood.berkeley.edu. Okay, so let's read it. 3 months into the pandemic, I had the urge to see my 28-year-old daughter and her husband 2,000 miles away. Oh yeah, distance is another thing. Yeah, distance is hard. She had weathered an acute health crisis, oh God, followed by community protests that propelled them both onto the streets to serve food and clean up neighborhoods. Sounds like a really bad place to live. They were coping, but the accumulation of challenges made the mom in me want to connect with and support them. So together with my husband, my other daughter, and her husband, our family of 6 adults and 2 dogs formed a new pod inside my daughter's home in the steamy heat of the Minneapolis summer. Wow, that's nice. Because, if your family is still there, they're there to help you. No matter how far you are from your family, they're always going to be there to help you. This proves that this person still cares about their kids even though they're that far away. They were coping, but they had challenges. It's really sad. So, as I packed, a wisp of doubt crept in. We 6 haven't lived together under the same roof ever. Well, that's a sacrifice you're going to have to make, okay? But here's the what ifs. She was like, would I blow it? Would I flap my lips, as a friend calls it, and accidentally say something hurtful? I think those small things are not, the small things are just small things. Sometime back in a careless moment of exhaustion, I had insulted my brand new son-in-law with a thoughtless remark. He was rightfully hurt, and it took a long letter and a phone call to get us back on track. I know, but small things like that are negotiable. It's fine. My own siblings and I were raised inside the intractable rupture that was my parents' marriage. Oh, God. Their lifelong conflict sowed discord and division in everyone around them. I worked hard to create a different, positive family climate with my husband and my children. That's good. Because, like, if your parents were really toxic, don't be the same way to your kids, because it's just going to spread more negativity. My old ghosts were haunting me, though, and I didn't want to ruin a good thing. Yet, research shows that it's not realistic or possible or even healthy to expect that our relationships will be happy and harmonious and joyous all the time. Everything we know from developmental science and research on family suggests that rifts will happen, and what matters is how you respond to them, how you handle them, because that shows the maturity you have. With many families spending more time together than ever now because of the pandemic, there are ample opportunities for tension and hurt feelings. Exactly, which is like the pandemic is going to end, so that's perfect time for you to heal your wounds and get back with your family. These moments also offer ample invitations to reconnect, though. Exactly what I'm saying. Yes, you're together all the time, but maybe you'll learn things about yourself that you didn't know before. You know, if you're with somebody that long inside a house, you'll learn from them more. Disconnections are a fact of life. Researcher Ed Tronick, together with colleague Andrew Giannino, calculated how often infants and caregivers are attuned to each other. It's hard to fight with a newborn, though, because all they do is cry. So, attunement is a back and forth rhythm of interaction where partners share positive emotions. That's a good bond, though. They found that it's surprisingly little. Even in healthy, securely attached relationships, caregivers and babies are in sync only 30% of the time. The other 70%, they're mismatched, out of sync, or making repairs and coming back together. I know, but me and my mom, though, I feel like that's, it's different. I feel like we're always almost always in sync, like 60% of the time. We always joke around. We always share what we need to. There's no trust problems. I always share with her everything. So I guess this is just a statistic, though, because I don't have that. We're mostly in sync. If we don't understand something about a certain topic, we discuss it and then we form an understanding. So, I mean, that's just a statistic, you know? I feel like I'm on the same page with my mom most of the time. You know, we don't really fight either. I'm very understanding, and here's the thing, I don't like fights either. So I don't usually cause them. Me and my dad, on the other hand, that's where the statistic comes into play. We're only with each other like 50 or 40% of the time. Most of the other times we're just like, we don't bicker anymore. Like, we used to fight a lot. We used to not understand each other, or we used to understand each other too much, and that's what frustrated us, because we're like the same person. We're both hyper. We're both impatient people, and we don't like to sit down and just chat about our feelings. I mean, I do. He doesn't like hearing about my feelings because he's more logical than he is emotional. So, but over time, you can improve your relationships. Yeah. This is mostly with my dad, but me and my dad now are much better. Cheeringly, even babies work toward repairs with their gazes, smiles, gestures, protests, and calls. Yep. These mismatches and repairs are critical, Tronick explains. They're important for growing children's self-regulation, coping, and resilience. It is through these mismatches in small, manageable doses that babies and later children learn that the world does not track them perfectly. No, it does not. These small exposures to the micro-stress of unpleasant feelings, followed by the pleasant feelings that accompany repair or coming back together, are what make them manageable practice in keeping their boat afloat when the waters are choppy. Very, very true. That's a good analogy. That's a good metaphor, I just realized. Like, this is like poetry all in itself. The after effect of resolving with someone is a great feeling after all the fighting that you've done. If you put it another way, if a caregiver met all of their child's needs perfectly, it would actually get in the way of the child's development. You can't, you got to let the child grow. You got to have differences, because we're not human without differences. We all don't want to be the same. Repairing ruptures in the most essential things in parenting, says UCLA neuropsychiatrist Dan Siegel, director of the Mindset Institute and author of several books on interpersonal neurobiology. Wow, that was a mouthful. But yeah, repairing those problems, even having problems in general, just brings people closer. because you start understanding what the other person wants. If you already understand the person, like already, there's no conflict and there's no growth and there's no... But if you don't fight, that's a good thing. But you can have sad moments where you need to talk to your mom. And if you're having a problem with her, like, I don't fight with my mom ever. I don't like fighting. I don't think it solves anything. But sometimes I have a small problem with something she says, or sometimes I frustrate her sometimes, and we just talk about it and then we're good. We don't fight. Like, fighting doesn't solve anything. Life is a series of mismatches, miscommunications, yes, and misattunements that are all quickly repaired. Yep. Says Tronic, and again, become miscoordinated and stressful, and again are repaired. It's a cycle that it occurs thousands of times in a day, millions of times over a year. Yep. Even with friends, this happens too. Other research shows that children have more conflicts and repairs with friends than non. I was just talking about that. Like, not just family, friends. Friends are family too. Sibling conflict is legendary, and adult conflicts escalate when they become parents. Yeah, they do. My parents argue over the stupidest things. Like, oh, where to put this couch or where to put the lamp. Like, who cares where you put the lamp? Like, rearranging furniture. Like, who cares where you place this lamp or where you place the TV or what angle this picture is sitting at? Like, who cares? My parents argue over the stupidest things. Like, over how to rearrange the house. Like, I'm not an interior decorator or anything, but still, does it really matter? Come up with a compromise. Fighting doesn't solve anything. I don't get it. You know? Apparently they say fights are good for relationships, but I don't see how. I'm going to argue that it puts stress on me when I argue. I don't like making people upset either. It's just my emotional intelligence. Maybe that's what it is. My emotional intelligence. I mean my empathy, because I have a lot of empathy for people. I don't like making people feel bad. So no, I don't want to fight with people. I don't get why people say that fights are healthy. I don't get that at all, but whatever. Other research shows that, that children have conflicts with non-friends. What was I reading? If interpersonal conflict is unavoidable and even necessary, then the only way we can maintain important relationships is to get better at re-synchronizing them, and especially at tending to repairs when they rupture. Yeah, I don't like fighting. If it's unavoidable, though, we gotta fix it. But I don't fight. The way I fix it is to just calmly talk to the person and try to understand their side of the story. If they're the one that starts the argument and I try to calm them down and they're not calming down, that's when I get angry. That's when I get frustrated. If you are, I don't know, it just depends. Like, you can make me mad if you don't try to see my side and you're just arguing with me, then that's when I get mad. But if the other person at least tries to understand my side of the story or tries to at least calm down and listen to me, that's when I don't fight. I don't like to fight unless the other person is pushing at me, and then I have no choice. I just do it to defend myself. That's all. That is all. Okay, so I'm going to discuss one more thing before we go into a commercial break. Strengthening the family fabric. In a small Canadian study, researchers examined how parents of 4 to 7-year-old children strengthened, harmed, or repaired their relationship with their children. Parents said that their relationships with their children were strengthened by horizontal or egalitarian exchanges. What? Like playing together, negotiating. Negotiating is a big thing. Taking turns, compromising is big, having fun, or sharing psychological intimacy. In other words, respecting and enjoying one another. If you don't disagree with somebody on something, just have fun with it. Like, maybe get into like a debate or something and see who wins. Personally, I don't like debates, but if that's what makes a person happy at the end of the day, go ahead. You know. Their relationships were harmed by... Wait. Where was I reading again? Oh, yeah. Their relationships were harmed by an over-reliance on power and authority, and especially by stonewalling tactics like the silent treatment. Oh yeah, that never changed. That doesn't change anything, because you're just avoiding the issue if you're being quiet. Like, nothing gets anywhere. When missteps happen, parents repaired and restored intimacy by expressing warmth and affection, talking about what happened and apologizing. That's what I do. Whenever I get in a fight with somebody, that's exactly what I do. So yeah, that was the end of that segment. So that was fun. So next segment, we will be talking about why opposite best friends attract. We will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, everybody. We're back with segment 3. Last segment, we actually talked about how to improve your family conflicts. And now we're going to talk about why opposite best friends attract. I have some opposite friends, actually. Kind of. Like, I have this friend that likes classical music or old music, actually, like classic music. I'm not really a fan of classic music. I like modern music. But it's interesting to have friends with conflicting interests because then you guys have more to talk about. You have more to share with each other. So let's actually read this article that actually talks about it. It's from this article called amysmartgirls.com. And this girl, Allie Semigran, wrote an article about why opposites attract, why having a BFF that's nothing like you makes for a perfect match. So let's actually talk about that. When you've been best friends with someone for most of your life, it's pretty much impossible to begin to fathom your life without them. Very true. They know the very essence of you, which makes sense considering they saw you through your awkward middle school phase and still stuck it out. Yeah, I've had the great fortune of having the same best friend for 20 years. Oh, I can't relate. All my old friends aren't friends with me anymore. A talented, lovely, funny, and smart girl named Lisa. I can't relate to that because all my friends from high school aren't friends with me anymore. But it's nice to know that this girl is there for her. And while I can't imagine my life without her, nor do I ever want to, occasionally I wonder if instead of meeting as dorky preteens, our path crossed as the 30-somethings we are now, if we've become the inseparable pair we are today. I know, right? It's like the new friends I've made now. What if they met me when I was younger? Would they still like me? It's like interesting to think about. It's not that I question our everlasting bond. It's that you couldn't find you couldn't find two more different people to be friends. I'm a hardcore city girl while she's more comfortable in the quiet of the suburbs. Me too, though. But at the same time, sometimes the city is exciting, so she's an incredible mother to 2 amazing children, while I'm still debating if I should get a cat for my studio apartment. Studio? I love that. I wear my heart on my sleeve, almost to a fault, while she's more guarded with her personal life. Sorry for writing about you on the internet, friend. She probably appreciated it, so it's okay. So perhaps our grown-up friendship would take a little more time, but it would be so very worth it, as I learned from having a polar opposite best friend. You are able to bring out the best in each other, and they'll see the things in you no one else would. Aw, that's so sweet to write about. Aw, so perhaps our grown-up friendship would take a little more time, but it'd be worth it. Aw, that's so nice. If you surround yourself with the same ideals, the same opinions, and the same hobbies, you'll never see the world beyond your own. You'll never be challenged. That's true, and you'll never be challenged to come up with different ideas either, because you'll always be stuck in the same thing. Your differences can also make you work harder at your friendship as the years go by and responsibilities mount into adult life. That's utterly crucial. Yep, that's very true. You'll be more dedicated to being friends because you learn stuff about the other person that you never knew before, so that's like a reason why you should stay friends. For 6 long years, my BFF and I lived in different states with widely different schedules and ever-evolving styles, but we made it work. Here's 5 ways you and your contrasting pal can always reconnect no matter what. Make time for each other. Yep, time management is a good thing. If you're busy, you can make plans for your friend. You just got to make plans ahead of time. Make time for each other, whether it's a brief catch-up on the phone or planning a road trip that's just you two. This is basically tips in general to stay friends with someone, but even better if it's a contrasting person. It's easy to let a friendship fall by the wayside, be it through physical or emotional distances, and making that time for each of you will keep you close. Yep. These are all good tips for your friends in general. Let them know about the things in your life that has nothing to do with them. Yeah, I know, I do that a lot. Especially right now at this podcast. People may be listening and it has nothing to do with them, but hey, it's interesting. I could rattle off each and every one of my BFF's co-workers, even though I've never met them. Being a part of your friend's life, even when you aren't actually a part of it, will always give you a better understanding of their day-to-day life and bring you that much closer. Aww. Cherish and nurture the things you both do happen to love and enjoy them with that person. My BFF and I may not be the same person, but we both love the Dave Matthews Band, so we make it a point to go to those concerts together. That's interesting. I mean, with my friend that likes different music, I think he appreciates the artist I like, Michael Jackson, because he's the only classic artist I like. And I feel like that's an artist we actually both like because he likes old music and I just happen to like Michael Jackson. So that's something kind of we have in common. You know, he's making me appreciate old things more, basically. My friend. You know, that's the great thing about having an opposite friend, is that you might actually start liking the opposite things that your friend likes. And then you'll become more alike than ever. So, embrace the differences. You won't always like the same thing your polar opposite friend bestie does, obviously. But I guarantee you, when you're doing something they love with them, you'll start to appreciate that particular hobby and them even more. I literally was just talking about that. Because you don't know if you like the hobby or not. If you have a polar opposite friend, you might actually like something that the opposite friend likes, you know? Which means they're not really polar opposite after all. There's no such thing as opposites, really. I mean, with personality maybe, but not with interests. I mean, you don't know what you like until you try it. You might like something opposite your personality. It just depends. Depends on the person. And you can go to them for advice because they might have, when you and your best friend see the world in different ways, they'll be able to put things in a perspective you never would. That's very true because they might have experience in something that you experienced. Or they might have a different outlook on something and they'll help you think in a different way. Like if you have they might open you up too, because if you're very closed-minded and they're very open-minded, they might actually help you open up more, which again, polar opposites. If you're closed-minded or if you're introverted, they're extroverted, they'll help you. Like I'm an extroverted person overall. I have some introverted friends, and over time, it's very beautiful to see that they've grown into a more developed person. Same thing with introverted people to extroverted people. They help the extroverted people who are really hyper like me calm down. Like when I talk to my friend, I think I've mentioned him a dozen times. He's the guy who likes classic music. His name is Tyler. Tyler helps me calm down because he brings me down to a level where I've never been before, which is normal, which is how I'm talking right now. These are the type of conversations we have. Like, oh, what did you do today? Oh, I did this. Oh, there's this fun thing that happened and I'm going to tell you about it. He brings me down to a normal level. Sometimes I even hype him up to my level, but we balance each other out. It's like what is that thing? It's like a balancing scale or a balance beam or what is that called? A seesaw. It's like if one person has a weight on one side and it goes up, and then a person sits down, it equalizes. I bring Tyler up, and he brings me down, which brings to a happy medium. You know, he was very calm and poised when I first met him, and now he has this energy that I can't even. Leah, also, I give her that. I like to go out to malls now. Like, before I met my friend Leah, she's so extroverted, like, she would go anywhere. Before I met her, I was still going out places a little bit, but I wasn't, like, going out to malls, and I wasn't really shopping for anything. Now, because of her, I've bought clothes. She's making me a little bit more into fashion than I've ever been. Like, I've never been the person to just walk around in stores and look at things. I've never been that kind of person. Like, I used to go out places, but I never used to go walking around shopping. I always found that a waste of time to just stare at clothes and be bored. It's like, what am I doing here? But honestly, she just makes it fun because, I don't know. She brings out the fun side in me. She makes me believe things or do things that I've never done before. She's also very spiritual, and I'm not. She actually made me believe in spiritual things a little more. She's helping me buy crystals. She's helping me believe in angels a little bit because she's really into spiritual things. And I never used to be like that before. But now she's making me believe in something that I've never even tried to. Like, no, I don't really fully believe in angels either. But it's interesting to talk about and to think about and do this with her because it's not is it boosting my self-confidence, but making me think outside the box, giving me really creative ideas. And I thank her and Tyler for being so unique. On the other hand, I have a friend who's literally exactly the same as me, and it's also fun too, because I can literally rant to somebody about, not rant, but talk about something that none of the other friends will understand. We all like the same TV shows, me and her. My friend Mariani, me and her love the exact same TV shows. We can go off forever. But there's also things that I play that she doesn't play, like the app Obey Me I was telling you about. None of my friends play that. It's a very, very, very small game. And it's like, there's some things that Mariani does that I don't. And it's like, you can share that with a friend. I wouldn't be into these artists right now if nobody ever shared them with me. Same thing with Tyler. Tyler has shared things with me. Mariani has shared things with me, so has Leah. And they're opening my mind to something even greater. And that's what opposite friends do. You may not be able to... Okay, I'm going to read the article now. You may not always see eye to eye with an opposite best friend. I don't get her unflinching... Oh, with her friend, she's like, I don't get her unflinching enjoyment of The Bachelor. And she'll never relate to how I'm never cold. I mean, my mom is always cold, too. I don't understand that either, but... it's okay, but at the core of the love and appreciation of another person who so entirely cares for you and know you will prevail. When it comes to a true lifelong bond, friendships speak a universal language. It definitely does. It doesn't matter what interests you have. It's their personality that matters. If you have a person who has the same interests, but they don't care about you and they just disregard your opinions and don't even... give you any energy, no, you shouldn't be friends with them, like, at all. But if you have a person who is completely opposite you, but they're willing to consider your interests and be friends with you, that's somebody that matters in your life, not somebody who just doesn't care. So I really think that you should put effort into the people who actually do care about you. Like, I have lots of friends. We don't have all the same things in common. I teach them things. Like, I'm a good music producer. They may like music, but they don't know how to music produce. I would love to teach them things. That we all have different skills, different everything. And it's nice to teach people things when they don't know what they are. So I think it's a really beautiful experience. So that's it. That's the end of segment 3. I had a really fun time talking about this segment, as usual. And up next is segment 4. And it is, I will be giving you my own personal reasons why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore, how it impacts my mental health, and I'll give you some games that I do play that actually boosts my mental health. We will be right back.
the Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
All right, everybody, here we go. This is the last segment. Last segment, we actually talked about why opposite best friends attract. And now I will be talking about, I will be giving you my personal reasons why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore and how that impacted my mental health. And I'll be giving you some games that I do play that actually boost my mental health and games that aren't competitive and that I don't get addicted to. So when I was 15, I used to be a giant gamer. I used to play many Sonic games. I used to play Sonic Colors. If you don't know who Sonic the Hedgehog is, I used to be so obsessed with him when I was younger. Oh my God. I used to play so many games by Sonic. I used to play Sonic Colors. I used to play Sonic and the Black Knight. I used to play, I don't even know. There were so many games that I played that I just got so wrapped up in this character that I didn't even focus on anything else in life. Also, another game that I used to play with my friends. Here's the thing. Here's how I even got into video games in the first place. So, my friend Jordan, yes, my name is Jordan. I had a friend named Jordan in the past. I met him when I was like 11 or 12. I have never been introduced to video games yet. I was like 11. I think I met him in like 5th grade. I was like 10 and I met him, and like I have never been introduced to video games ever. Like I knew nothing. And then I think he somehow introduced me to them because I don't even remember like the first time I've been over his house, but he had a Wii and he used to play a lot of video games and I was just so new to it until one day there was this character named Sonic that I just came across on the internet. I was like looking something up on my phone or computer. I think it was my computer. I was like 11 years old. I was sitting on my computer and I typed in like Sonic the Hedgehog because I heard the name somewhere. And I was like, wait, this is who Sonic is? So then at first I thought it was a Pokemon or something. And then I started like getting interested in the different characters, all the storylines, all the personalities. And I loved the different personalities of each character. And I was like, wow, I'm really starting to love this character and the games and the cutscenes and everything. And then Jordan introduced me to this series called Super Smash Bros. So like I got involved in some tournaments. I played video games with him over his house. We would play Smash Bros together all the time. Then some of my best friends in the group with me also started playing, like they played video games with us too. We would just go over people's houses and play Smash Bros. That's it. That's all we would play. Smash Bros this, Smash Bros that. We would play Super Smash Bros Brawl or Melee. Those are two different games. And those are games where they're just like fighting games. It's like Street Fighter, but with video game characters. It's literally where you just beat each other up until somebody wins, until you get a KO. So you literally just beat people up with superpowers and stuff until somebody dies. So literally, it's a multiplayer game. And in the past, and still now a little bit, but I'm much better. You know how I have anxiety and OCD, and I can get like, if I get really invested in something, I can get competitive. So when I get in that competitive mode, when I'm playing Super Smash Bros. Especially, the only idea in my head is beating the person. The only idea in my head is remembering all the skills that I've learned from playing in tournaments. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I forget about everything else, which is what you're supposed to do when you're playing a game. But I take it to the next level. I obsess over the fact that I want to beat the person. I don't want to lose. I don't want to get beaten up, and I don't want to die or anything. I never took it. Like, I did have fun, of course, but like I took it so seriously that sometimes it overpowered my thing to have fun. I got so obsessed with the feeling of winning that I really didn't have fun. I don't know. I just got so obsessed that sometimes I forgot to have fun. So whenever I lost at a game, whenever I got beat, I would always get really butthurt, and I would be like, I want to do another game. I want to do another game. And I almost chucked the remote across the room one time. Like, I got so butthurt. This is why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore, mostly. Because I'm a sore loser, and it impacts my self-confidence also. I would think that I'm like the most untalented person ever. I would forget that I like to play piano. I'd forget all the good things that I'm good at. And in the moment, I will just think that I'm a loser. And impacts my self-confidence. It makes me forget about all the things in my life that I'm grateful for. And I'm like, oh, my life is terrible because somebody beat me at a video game. Like, who cares? I'm the same person, whether I lost or not. And I was that way all throughout my life. I've never improved. Even when I was like 18, I was such a sore loser. And because of that, I stopped playing. When I was 19, I literally just stopped playing. I was in a really dark place in 2017. And I feel like playing video games would have not helped me through that. So I completely stopped. I stopped playing. I got obsessed with this singer named Melanie Martinez when I was 19. And she's the reason why I stopped playing video games. I started liking other things like singers, TV shows, anything that wasn't a multiplayer game. And I felt much happier because I can do my own thing. I can write my own music. I can just listen to Melanie's music or anything. I can just be myself without having to verse someone. So I realized, maybe I should just start doing other things. Yes, I still read books sometimes, but I was doing other activities that made me feel good. And I just completely avoided video games. Completely. But there was this one game. Okay, wait, no, I'm not done. So the next bullet point I have on here, it would ruin relationships. I would get so upset at my friends. I'd be like, you beat me, like, and sometimes there'd be a period when we're just not talking to each other for like 20 or 30 minutes. So it's like, over time, if I kept playing those games over and over, I might ruin relationships. People might not like the way I'm acting and be like, you know what? You're a sore loser and you need to grow up. So people can unfriend me because of that. Because I'm acting so immaturely and being a baby. I was like, 17? And I was crying because I lost one match? Like, come on, Jordan, like, grow up. And another thing, I just got so obsessed that I would always want a rematch. I can't end on losing. Like, it's like I couldn't leave the person's house until I won. It's like, can I do a rematch before I leave? Can I do another one? Can I do another one? And if I won a game, I wouldn't want to verse another person again. Because it's like, I ended good. I won. I don't want to ruin that streak. I say, like, I don't want to ruin that streak. And I'm like, I only won once. Like, that doesn't matter. And then I also get butthurt sometime. In the past, I got butthurt that I only won because the person sometimes it's hard to get back on the ledge in video games, and then basically, I don't like losing if it's an accident. Like, I was about to lose one game, and then my friend couldn't get back on the ledge, and then he accidentally just fell and died. I want to win by getting a KO. I wanted to win by getting a KO, not by the other person just failing to get on the ledge. And then I used to get upset and I'm like, I only won because you failed to get on the ledge and you just died. Like, I wouldn't accept the fact that I just won. Be like I was such a sore loser. Like, I didn't accept defeat. I was just like, so that's exactly why. And I would also get addicted to video games too. Like, in general, like, that would just increase my desire to play video games. If I didn't win at a match, I would just completely keep going and keep going and keep going until I would get that satisfied win. And I would just keep using different characters and keep going and going and going until I got as many wins as possible. It's like, And I loved the sheer feeling of winning. I love that warm, burning feeling in my stomach whenever I won a game. I felt like the whole world was on fire, all the lights were twinkling, and then it was my glory day. Like, that's how I felt every time I won a game. So I was addicted to that feeling. So that's why I kept winning and winning and winning. It felt so satisfying to beat up enemies and to win every single time. I felt like a queen, basically. I felt like a champion. And I used to say, like, oh, I'm so good at this game. Like I didn't brag, but in my head, I'm just like, wow, I'm like a boss at this game. Like, I love the feeling of winning. So I just got so obsessed with that feeling that I would get so butthurt if I didn't win. So that's exactly why I don't play video games, like those type of video games anymore. I could work on it. I could work on my butthurtness and my anxiety when I play video games, but it's hard. I mean, I already have enough issues anyway. Video games shouldn't even be a part of my life in the first place. Like, it's just a waste of time. Like, when I was younger, it was great. But now that I have a job and I have, like, a life, it's not really what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. I should be doing things that are worth my time, like podcasts, like what I'm doing right now. That's something I enjoy, and it doesn't involve negative feelings, because it's all stuff I like to do. So that's exactly why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore. But on the other hand, yes, I have been playing games lately. They're not exactly video games, but they are games. But they're not multiplayer. And let me explain. So this first app that I've been using, it's a game. Yes, it is, but not the type of game you expect. It's a game where you can make choices and you can be inside a story. This app is called Episode. I've had it since I was 18. It was probably the first thing that I played that wasn't a real video game. And I've been addicted to it ever since I was 18. There were no negative feelings coming from this app. There were no chances to win or lose. There was just a chance to make choices that I wouldn't make in real life. That's why I loved it. It's a game where you can make your own choices and get different endings. You can customize different characters, name them. You can be yourself without having to win, lose. And you can just read. It's like reading a book, but on your phone. Like, there's different storylines. There's different themes. There's like romance. There's fantasy, anything. And you don't even need to pay for the app. These are all free. Yes, there's in-app purchases, but you don't need to pay for things in order to enjoy the game, which is another benefit all in itself from video games. You have to buy video games in order to get them. This app is completely free. In-app purchases, but free. Not everything in life is free, though. But if you have no money, just play this app. It's so much fun. If you want to see what life would be like if you lived in a fantasy world, play it. You can be a wizard. You can do magic. You can have a boyfriend that you would never have. It's amazing. So that's why I don't play multiplayer video games anymore, because of that reason, because it's just freeing to make choices. Another app that I'm not going to go into much detail on because it has a little bit of mature content, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's a game called Obey Me. It's a dating simulator. Yes, I'm 23 years old, but it's a fun game. It's not where it's not really your typical dating simulator. It has demons in it. Like the typical demons you would see, like Lucifer, Asmodeus, which is the demon of lust. It's like the 7 demons in hell and the underground. I'm just going to say the underworld. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, but it's all the demons underground. And it's this game where you can it's kind of like Just Dance. It's kind of like Just Dance and Pokemon combined. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's this game where you have to complete tasks, and you're a human and you're in the demon world, and you have to complete these tasks, and you're friends with like 7 demon brothers. It's so much fun. Like, you got to look it up. It's basically like an anime. And no, it is not multiplayer, thank God. So that's why I don't play video games anymore, those type of video games. And I'm a much happier person because I'm not addicted anymore. I just am playing these games normally, and that's it. That's completely it. So that was the last segment. I had a lot of fun. I'm still drinking my seltzer, and life is good. Don't worry. So thank you for listening to the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review. That really helps us. Also, if you could please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.